House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, I guess, has mild symptoms after testing positive for COVID-19. Thankfully, I am fully vaccinated and already received my booster shot, the 82-year-old Maryland Democrat said in a statement. Let's unpack just that much. Okay. Thankfully, I'm fully vaccinated and already received my booster shot. So he's fully vaxxed. He's boosted, right? He still caught it. He can still spread it. And of course, he tested positive for it. So he can catch it, carry it, spread it. Remember, you can still do all three of those, even if you're unvaccinated, boosted, vaccinated, whatever. Okay. It's hitting everybody. Again, this is something that they've been saying. It's going to hit everybody, but some places are still wanting to do some lockdown stuff. So here's an example. He's fully vaxxed, fully boosted. And because he's in Congress, at least when he's in front of a camera, he has a mask on, he's social distancing. Now, when that camera's not on and people aren't around, who knows what he's doing? But you know, these guys are on top of it. They're getting the best medical care. They're getting the best mask, everything. And he still caught it. So why are they still pushing the vaccines and the boosters and the mandates and everything if they see that so many people are still, it's not outlier, what do they call them? Breakout case. It's not breakout. Everybody's getting it. Okay. The vaccines aren't really helping that much. And I'm sure, YouTube's going to have a problem with me saying that, but look, this is not a breakout case. It's happening all the time. Another thing, thankfully, I'm fully vaccinated, yada, yada, yada. The 82-year-old Maryland Democrat said in a statement, 82 years old. Guys, I can't stress enough how crucial it is to primary these folks. Okay? There's got to be someone that's trying to primary these people. I mean, Nancy Pelosi says she's running for office again. Look at the walking wet sock puppet thing that's the president. I mean, the dude's ancient. All these people are ancient. It's on the right. It's on the left. It's everywhere. Okay, somebody has to get out there and primary these folks. And you as a voter need to vote in the primaries. Don't just wait till, the big day when everybody shows up to vote for the president. No, we got midterm elections coming up. Start paying attention now to who's running in your area. I shared a link for that not too long ago in a video. It's a big year. The Republicans can take back over the House and the Senate and everything, or the Democrats can hold it or take it over or whatever. But people like this are running for office again for their, 15,000th term or whatever it is. But this dude's 82 years old. Nancy Pelosi's up there too. That's why I think partially there's so much misunderstanding about what's going on right now. They can barely check emails, but they're trying to govern on what Facebook and YouTube and Twitter should be able to do. They don't understand. And because of that, they're relying so heavily on their assistants, on their employees or whatever they've got working with them, their aides, I guess would be the right term. But they're the ones, the aides are the ones that are writing these bills and signing off on them and voting and telling them what's in these legislation that's coming across their desk and everything. They're not taking the time to read because they don't understand it. I guarantee you that. Very, very few of them, as we heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say, very few of them are reading these bills before they're voting on it, and very few are voting on it. It's like a done deal almost, especially for the party that's the majority, whichever that is. And right now it's the Democrats. So sad to say it, but I mean, now I don't wish anything ill toward this man, but 82 years old, good grief, man, still in office. But he's vaccinated and he's boosted, guys. So, hero. Let's look at another one. All out effort to keep Biden COVID free. No normal yet. When President Joe Biden met with U.S. governors at the White House on Monday, he was the only one given a glass of water, lest anyone else remove their mask to take a drink. Guys, quit popping up. The president was seated more than 10 feet from everyone, including Vice President Kamala Harris. I can't stand that woman. And members of his cabinet. A White House staffer who was wearing a surgical mask when Biden entered the room was quickly handed an N95 version. These are just some of the extraordinary efforts on the part of the White House to keep the president from getting COVID-19, even though he's gotten both of his regular vaccinations and his booster. Well, we saw that doesn't mean anything, right? We saw in Hoyer, He got it. He's vaxxed and boosted. Other people are vaxxed and boosted, so he can totally get it. So I understand their precaution. And even worse, it's not that America's going to look weak by having a president that has COVID. Plenty of folks are getting COVID. The problem is it probably kill them or put them down for a long time. And I don't want them to get COVID either, because then what, we got Kamala up there running it, if she ain't already. Nah, yeah, protect Biden. Hashtag save Biden. It's no surprise that unusual steps are taken to protect any president, but the strict precautions could also threaten to undercut Biden's administration's own efforts to tell Americans, especially those who are vaccinated and boosted, that they can get on with something closer to their normal lives in the face of the Omicron wave. They can't. Dude's vaxxed, boosted, and he'll probably get it. I'm not speaking ill on him. No pun intended there. But I mean, it is what it is. This Omicron's going around like a cold or the flu or any other virus. It's easy to catch, but it doesn't have, a critical impact on people nearly to the capacity that any of the other, what was it, 2 variants, the original and the Delta had. So not that big of a deal. But, like I said, we're still logging things down. We're still shutting things down in some places. Other countries are opening up. There's still conversations in individual states and counties and stuff here. And even the president's chimed in on it. Check this out. So on Fox News, it says lockdowns only reduce COVID-19 mortality by 0.2%, study finds. Lockdown should be rejected out of hand. The Johns Hopkins University study also found that shelter-in-place orders reduce COVID-19 mortality by 2.9%. Lockdowns during the first COVID-19 wave in spring 2020 only reduced COVID mortality by 0.2% in the U.S. and Europe, according to Johns Hopkins University meta-analysis of several studies. While the meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no public health effects, they have imposed enormous economic and social costs. Yeah, they have, where they have been adopted, the researchers wrote. Now, I don't go too far there again. Links are in the description. You can read the whole thing there. But what they're saying is the impact that it had on us socially, economically, and even our mental health. I mean, so many people have had mental health issues from this whole lockdown. And what, for a 0.2% better odds of not, was it mortality? Yeah, mortality rate. And the mortality rate was less than 1%. So you're saying that less than 1% of people that caught COVID were dying from it. And by locking the entire world down, right, we cut that down from, 0.2%. Don't get me wrong, it's probably a large number. But how many people die on a regular basis? And I don't mean to be disheartening. If you lost someone, I know people that have been lost to this. It's terrible. But at what cost and at what point do you say there's a line where you don't shut down the entire world for something that's less than 1%, has a less than 1% mortality rate? And then we're going to lock things down. And I understand at first you do whatever the doctors say. I think we've seen now that the doctors don't exactly know what they've got going on. Or do they? Pfizer asked FDA to authorize COVID vaccine for kids under 5. I don't have a kid under 5. She's barely over 5, but she's not getting vaccinated. Not till some more testing and stuff comes out. I don't know if she's allergic. She's got allergies. She's a kid. She's growing. I want to make sure anything that goes, into her system is 100% safe, 100%, pivotal to her success in life, her health, her mental, whatever. And right now they can't say that, and they won't be able to for a long time. If that changes, I'll revisit it. But these guys are just, I'm sorry, they're sick. But what's crazy is we have certain folks that are begging for this and certain folks that will reject this wholeheartedly. I'm on the rejecting it wholeheartedly thing. I just don't think that makes any sense for little kids to be getting. Kids aren't having a hard time with this. It's the elderly. It's overweight. I'm the fat guy. I'm the one that needs to be getting it, not a 5-year-old, 4-year-old. I know this is my opinion, but given the facts and the studies and everything that we've gone over, I think this is just overkill. I think it's ridiculous. All right, let's look at this study real quick. We're wrapping up on all this COVID. I know it's getting old, but man, so is this COVID crap. It's just dragging on and on and on. So here's a census. It said household pulse survey shows many don't trust COVID vaccine, worry about side effects. And this came out in December. So this is fairly recent, right? So you see, and we'll get back to it in a second, how the left is, the majority of Democrats say the unvaccinated should be confined to home, fined, that article we looked at a minute ago. Well, who are the ones that are having a hard time here that don't trust it? The share of unvaccinated non-Hispanic white adults was not different from share who were vaccinated. The same was true for Hispanic adults. But non-Hispanic black adults were slightly more represented among the unvaccinated than the vaccinated. A small but statistically insignificant difference. I'll get my words out eventually. There was notable differences for Asian population. However, 6% of the vaccinated were non-Hispanic Asian, but only 1% of the vaccinated were non-Hispanic Asian. So a large portion of the people that are unvaccinated, and mostly because they are concerned about possible side effects, don't trust COVID-19 vaccines, don't trust the COVID, or don't trust the government, and for obvious reasons, are the black community. So when you have a political party, the left, who is supposed to not be the racist party, come out and say, yeah, if you're not vaccinated, you should be confined to your home or fined, maybe even put into some kind of camps. The black community is a community that is largely impacted by that. And you can tell me all day long that the Republicans and the Democrats, they switched. And Republicans are the racist ones now. This kind of paints a different picture. Let's look at some more things that are going on under Biden's watch that are not COVID related. I don't think. So we won't dive too deep into some of these. We'll just kind of run through them real quick. Putin accuses U.S. allies of ignoring Russian security needs. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday accused the U.S. and its allies of ignoring Russia's top security demands, but said Moscow is willing to talk more to ease tensions over Ukraine. The comments were his first on the standoff in more than a month and suggested a potential Russian invasion of Ukraine may not be imminent and that at least one more round of diplomacy is likely. But he's saying it may not be imminent. And another article, and I don't think I have it, but I read it earlier, where what was it? Psaki said they're going to stop using the term imminent because that means that it's a sure thing. Well, now they're saying it's not a sure thing. So the White House is backing off saying it's not a sure thing. I don't know which came first, but I wouldn't be surprised if our government is tempting them to do something, especially right here during an election year. Just saying. Let's see. In remarks to reporters at a Moscow news conference with the visiting leader of NATO ally Hungary, Putin said the Kremlin is still studying the U.S. and NATO's response to the Russian security demands received last week. But he said it was clear that the West has ignored Russian demands that NATO not expand to Ukraine and other ex-Soviet nations, refrain from deploying offensive weapons near Russia, and roll back its deployments to Eastern Europe. So at least he's talking. He's not doing anything yet. And like we talked about last week, I think it was, if he pushes and goes into Ukraine and we go in there, I really think that's going to open the back door for China to go into Taiwan. Is it Taiwan? I think it's Taiwan. Moving on. Oil prices are still painfully high, and OPEC might act. OPEC, the foreign oil reserve folks or oil refineries that are in Saudi Arabia, said energy prices remain uncomfortably high, and OPEC and its allies are under pressure to come to the rescue. The good news for consumers grappling with elevated pump prices is that Goldman Sachs is warning clients that OPEC Plus could announce during Wednesday's virtual meeting it plans to step up production. Knowing that oil prices are entering political intervention territory, Goldman Sachs said in a report Monday night that it no longer assumes OPEC Plus, I guess, will simply stick to its monthly increase of just 400,000 barrels per day. We view growing potential for a faster ramp up at this meeting, given the pace of the recent rally and the likely pressure from importing nation, Goldman Sachs strategist wrote, knowing that prices are now above the levels prior to what it described as a small U.S.-led intervention last November. If we read on, U.S. oil CEOs offer opposing views on crude crude output growth. So here we got another one about the folks here from, what are the two companies? The chiefs of major U.S. oil companies, Occidental Petroleum Corp. And ConocoPhillips, offering differing outlooks on the growth of U.S. oil output at a conference on Monday as the industry rebounds from shutdowns during the first stage of coronavirus pandemic. So they're disagreeing on kind of the prices and how many barrels and everything it's going to take. Again, let's go back to this. Before Biden was in office, because he nuked it on day one, before Biden was in office, we were energy independent. We were not relying on OPEC or anybody else for our oil. Were we still getting oil from them? Yes. But at the drop of a dime, if something went down, we were good to go. We had our refineries going. The oil was being pumped. We were rocking and rolling. But because of climate change, allegedly, not because of his, dealings with Russia or anything, Biden, he executive ordered it to stop a lot of the drilling and a lot of what was going on. Another one here from CNN, a record number of Americans quit their jobs in 2021. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because in 2021, they had the largest, or Psaki said that they had the largest job creation ever in history that year. And again, we talked about it last week when you looked at the jobs lost in 2020 and the jobs created in 2021, there is still a deficit. There were no jobs created, or I'm sure there were jobs created, but there weren't that many jobs created. A lot of those jobs were just people going back to work from those that had lost their jobs in 2020, either left them on their own term or were terminated or the company closed or whatever, right? Because we saw a lot of all that going on. Well, this says, even from CNN, and guys, again, I always try to read left leaning, right leaning, center, whatever. Just so there's always a mix and you guys aren't questioning, where I'm getting my information from and my, who I'm citations here. But this is from CNN. It says a record number of Americans quit their jobs in 2021. Last year was a historic one for American jobs. A record number of workers quit their jobs, while U.S. employers had more positions to fill than ever before. In December, 4.3 million Americans quit their jobs, down slightly from the record 4.5 million in November, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Friday. While millions of workers left jobs for cash incentives, better pay, or better benefits, people also left the labor market to care for children or elderly relatives during the pandemic. Meanwhile, older workers retired early, either because they could or because age discrimination forced them out of the labor market. The number of workers quitting last month fell in health care and social assistance jobs, as well as restaurants, hotels, and construction. Quits went up in non-durable good manufacturing. Even though a record number of people quit their jobs last year, the U.S. labor market still recorded a net employee gain of 6.4 million. That is a lie. There's no way. There's no way. Go back and look at the numbers. There's no way. See what else we got going on, Biden. Fox News, Fraternal Order of Police accuses White House Press Secretary Psaki of laughing off rising crime rates. At least 16 U.S. cities set records for homicides last year. It says the Fraternal Order of Police, America's largest police union, harshly criticized Jen Psaki on Monday after the White House press secretary mocked Fox News' coverage of rising crime rates and questioned the validity of discussing soft-on-crime consequences. I think it's wrong, very wrong, for Ms. Psaki to suggest that violent crime in our country is of no concern or to just laugh it off, President of the Fraternal Order of Police Patrick Yost said in a statement on Monday. She may feel safe in the White House, one of the most protected buildings in the United States, but not everyone feels safe in their workplace, Yost continued. The world we find ourselves in is dangerous and is becoming increasingly more so. Tens of thousands of people have been the victims of crime this month alone, and some of them never made it back home. Let's go on to this one because this is related. Oregon Democrat Governor Kate Brown agrees to halt clemency for felons until lawsuit plays out, lawyer says. Brown has released almost 1,000 criminals early over the past 2 years with a novel use of clemency powers that critics allege is unlawful. Democratic Oregon Governor Kate Brown has agreed to stop granting clemency for felons between February 2nd and March 2nd, according to a lawyer for a group of murder victims' relatives who are suing the governor over her progressive pardon policy. Kevin Mannix, whose law firm is representing some of the plaintiffs, said The case is expected to be resolved by then. A judge on Monday ordered the governor to state agencies named in the suit to respond by February 16th and schedule a hearing for February 28th. Our clients, particularly our surviving victims, feel very hopeful to view the court's order as a good sign that they are finally being heard and that the law will be enforced, Monique Despain, another attorney at the Mannix law firm, told Fox News Digital Tuesday. In addition to failing to properly notify victims' families, the suit alleges the governor unlawfully delegated her clemency powers to state agencies, including the Oregon Board of Parole. So this chick's letting folks out, murderers, and they're out murdering and what, we've seen this. New York is doing it. Was it California where you can still up to $900, I think it is, right? And they won't arrest you for it. It's crazy. And we talked earlier and how the left is eating itself and everything, and people are waking up. It was I forget his name, Rappaport, the actor. He just couldn't believe somebody walked in, stole a whole bunch of stuff, and left. Well, yeah, this is what this party does. This is what this party supports. No policing, right? They're anti-police. They're pro letting folks out of jail. And I understand that there are certain things that people don't need to be spending their lifetime in jail for, whether it's, smoking pot or, I don't know. I know drug use is one that's a hot topic, and one that I agree that it shouldn't be, a death sentence where you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail because you've been doing some drugs. Look, you do you. Once you start impacting somebody else's life, it's a different story entirely. Okay. If you're murdering people, if you're raping people, if you're, robbing people, that's a totally different thing. And I totally support you spending your due time in jail thinking about it. And to be fair, I think it should be a much harder sentence and more tough punishment than what they're getting. And maybe they won't come out so, still in their ways. So this guy's funny. U.S. road deaths rise at record pace as risky driving persists. So risking driving is the cause of increase of road deaths. So the number of U.S. traffic deaths surged in the first 9 months of 2021. The government reported Tuesday, keeping up a record pace of increased dangerous driving during the coronavirus pandemic. I don't understand that. The estimated figure of people dying in motor vehicle crashes from January to September 2021 was 12% higher than the same period in 2020. That represents the higher percentage increase over a 9-month period since the Transportation Department began recording a fatal crash data in 1975. The tally of 31,720 deaths was the highest 9-month figure since 2006. So they're saying it's because, and when I say they, it's old Pete Buttigieg, says U.S. road deaths rise at record pace as risky driving persists. So it's the driver's faults that this is happening. It's not anything else. From the Independent, Buttigieg says America's highways are racist and infrastructure bill will help fix that. Comments sparked mixed reactions on social media, with conservatives such as Ted Cruz mocking him. Says U.S. Transport Secretary Pete Buttigieg. First of all, this dude did not deserve this position, I don't think. Okay, I don't know of anything in his background from his little small town that he was mayor of that should allow him to have this position, this role. This is one of those diversity hires, kind of like Kamala. Nobody liked her. She did terrible in the polls. But she's a woman of color, so she's the vice president. This guy is a homosexual, so he gets a place. And just recently with the Supreme Court, Biden said early on that he was going to put a woman of color in the Supreme Court. There's a lot of these diversity hires, and look, if you're the right person for the right job, I get it. But what was it, South Bend, Indiana he was the mayor of or something like that? What does he know about roads and highways and everything like that? Anyways, it just irritates me that we've got these people in these positions that have no idea what they're doing. U.S. Transport Secretary Pete Buttigieg said highway designs in the country were racist and claimed that new infrastructure bill would help fix it. Mr. Buttigieg was asked about the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed by Congress last week during an interaction with reporters on Monday. He was also questioned about his plans to deconstruct the racism that was built into the roadways. This was in reference to his earlier stand that racism was physically built into highways. Like this. Check out that racist bridge. You see that white bridge? How about that black car? That white bridge flipped that black car over. Yeah. Racist bridge. Obviously, I'm making light of a bad situation. That bridge did go down and people were injured. Fortunately, I don't believe, last I heard, there were any deaths on that. But there were some injuries. And it was a bridge that was supposedly, I think 2017, they were trying to get it repaired. And here we are 2022 and the bridge collapses. It would have cost them less to repair it than it will be to rebuild it. And the payouts are going to have to do these individuals and their families. I mean, it's going to cost millions upon millions of dollars. And I was watching somebody else. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Tim Pool, or it could have been Don't Walk Run. I can't remember. But they were talking about how was it Biden visited and talked about this bill that's supposed to go out there and help, all these bridges and roads and everything get fixed. And there's not enough for even that town. I think it was Pittsburgh. And he's just out there lying. It's always too little too late with the government. You know what I mean? Sometimes they try to do too. I'm going to get on my soapbox here. Sometimes they try to do too much. And the government is definitely not the right ones to be doing pretty much anything. They'll screw it up. Somehow they'll take $1.5 trillion from us to fix roads and bridges, but yet, 200 million of that will end up over in another country to teach about horseback riding or gender studies, or what was it? Marjorie Taylor Greene was joking about like butterflies or the study of desert fish or something. Like, how does that happen? There's other things going on. It's crooked. I know. I won't stay on my soapbox going on. Transportation Sec, Buttigieg unveils new strategy to combat rise in traffic fatalities. Transportation Secretary is pledging to tackle rising traffic fatalities throughout a national strategy aimed at reducing speed, redesigning roads, racist roads, and enhancing car safety features such as automatic emergency braking. Buttigieg told the Associated Press that new federal data being released next week will show another increase in traffic fatalities through the third quarter of 2021. Those numbers are expected to point to a sizable increase, and we already talked about that. It did, in fact. You know who would be a good person to bring in on this conversation?
Mr. Secretary, there's one car manufacturer that seems conspicuously absent from this event today, and that is Tesla. And I'm curious why.
I'm not sure, but what I know is that you're seeing so many leaders in industry. You got newer companies, and you've got the legacy companies that are both saying that we've got to move in this direction.
But I don't know if did you see Elon Musk's tweet? He said, we have it on the screen here. He said, "Yeah, it seems odd that Tesla wasn't invited."
No, I haven't seen that, but look, we're excited about all of the momentum.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that dude is totally all about the momentum and very excited about it. But what he's referencing is there was like this electric EV, right? Big summit or whatever, and invited Chevy, Ford, all kinds of manufacturers. But the one leading the market, Tesla, wasn't invited at all. We'll look at a couple of articles, but I think it's going to be pretty easy to figure out why that is. So here's one from Insider. Nearly 40,000 Tesla fans signed petition urging Biden to acknowledge the company's leadership in electric cars. I think that's fair to say. Tesla fans are asking President Biden to acknowledge the company's accomplishments. They say Biden has snubbed Tesla while praising GM and Ford for their electric car efforts. Elon Musk has lashed out at Biden for not mentioning Tesla and excluding the firm from events. Frustrated that Biden administration has snubbed Tesla in public comments and at events promoting electric cars, Tesla's hordes of loyal fans are speaking up. A Change.org petition launched on Saturday calling for Biden to acknowledge Tesla's leadership in electric cars or electric vehicles racked up more than 38,000 signatures by Tuesday morning. The petition alleges that Biden has unfairly praised Ford and General Motors for their electric accomplishments while sidelining the Texas-based automaker. The petitioners say that the White House has ignored Tesla because it is a non-union company, unlike other U.S. automakers. The White House and the Biden administration have intentionally been trying to ignore Tesla's hard work while propping up GM and others as EV leaders, the petition says. This is an insult to the Americans who work for Tesla. No doubt, because it's based in Texas, right? And GM and Ford are outsourcing about everywhere else that they can. And they're nowhere near where Tesla is in this whole, you can call it a revolution or whatever, of electric cars. They're nowhere near it. But hey, don't take my word for it. A damp sock puppet in human form. Elon Musk insults Biden after White House snub. Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk called President Joe Biden a damp sock puppet in human form after the White House snubbed him for the second time at an EV summit on January 26. Musk, who unveiled Tesla's showroom in China's autonomous region earlier this month, blasted the president on social media last year after being excluded from a similar White House meeting in August 2021. He said the administration was maybe a little biased when he was snubbed last year. Tesla and SpaceX CEO billionaire recently took to social media to criticize President Joe Biden, call him a damp sock puppet, or for not inviting him to White House meeting for top business leaders. Musk, 50, still don't understand why they do it. Why do they have to include ages in this stuff? Musk, 50, blasted Biden in a series of tweets on Thursday in which he described the POTUS as a damp sock puppet in human form, according to Fox Business. The tweets were sent as a reply to Biden's tweet stating that companies like GM and Ford are building more electric vehicles here at home than ever before. Let's see what this says. Biden is a damp sock puppet in human form. Get him. Here's another one. How does he say that this with a straight face? Shame on you, President Biden, for trying to cancel a great American company and rewrite EV history. And somebody else made the comment. I thought it was pretty funny. We talk about racism. I mean, Elon, isn't he an African American? Right? Am I right on that? I think I'm right on that. Let's see.
2 hours later.
He was born to a Canadian mother and South African father. So yeah, there he goes. He's an African American. So yeah, pretty low of you there, Biden. But yeah, so one of the things mentioned they're talking about is they're not backed by the union. Well, the union. Do I have another article on this? I think I have another article. Let's keep going. I'll wrap up. I'll put a little pretty bow on this one. Here's another one. Elon Musk believes Biden's EV policy is controlled by unions. Okay, this is where I was heading. Tesla CEO complained at the Code conference that the White House is not the friendliest toward this company. I think I could play this, but it's very, very long, and there is a part that I like in there. But he basically says it's not a very friendly administration. And this is kind of an old story, but again, I just want to point out where we're at with the days of Biden here. But Tesla CEO Elon Musk has forgotten about the August summit on EVs at the White House, where the company he runs wasn't invited, even though GM, Ford, and Stellantis were. See, I don't even know who that is, but I know who Tesla is. But it goes on and on. A couple of tweets here. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And again, links in the description. You can check it out. I'm kind of tired of running my mouth here, but look, here's the thing. The unions are pulling the purse strings, right? The unions are lobbyists. They're giving the money to the politicians. So they're running it. They're writing the bills. They're making sure that their people are taken care of. Props to them, hats off to them, whatever on all that. But that's just one of the organizations. There are plenty other. That's how these politicians are. Whoever, is the bigger donor is going to get the, bigger cutback, the, payoffs or whatever. And I've always said it, and someone else worded it better than I could. But I grew up watching racing. I grew up, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, Michael Waltrip, Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Bodine, all those guys. Bill Elliott, couldn't forget Austin Bill from Dawsonville. But they wear all their sponsors and stuff on their gear, right? It's on their car, it's on their getup, and yeah. Politicians should do that too. That way we know who we're actually electing into office and what kind of policies are going to be putting forward, not what they said on the campaign trail, because most of that's crap. They don't believe it. We've said it before in previous videos, and it was, oh man, what was her name? Marianne Williamson, I think, who said it very well. Again, a leftist on Fox News when she said it. It's not about the right versus the left. It's not black against white. It's about the, I think she said the powerful and the powerless, or as I'll say it, the elites and just regular citizens. You know, the left is eating themselves. We see that. But even more so, they do believe in putting down the little guy, and they're going to take care of themselves. Always has been that way, always will be that way, until something changes, until someone changes, and we jump in there and somebody does something.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.